everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is November 12th, 2025. And ladies and gentlemen, it's been revealed that Barcelona have, several lawsuits, but two of them are from the transfers of Dembele and the contract termination of El Kun Agüero. Also, Laporta closing the door on the possibility of Messi returning to the club. And finally, Barcelona are currently closely tracking an Argentine attacking wonderkid. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. This is the Barca News live podcast, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting that discussion going. For those of you who will be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. And of course, the podcasts are every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, which have become my favorite days. Now, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All this helps the channel continue to grow, especially when you hit the like. The more likes a video gets, the more the YouTube algorithm promotes the video to people who've never seen the channel or my videos before. Also, if you're looking to buy any Barcelona jerseys, merchandise, kits, not just Barca, but any football team or any sporting team around the world, you can hit the Goal Kits kit bag or Fanatics. By the way, Goal Kits have even retro kits and even kits from previous seasons, if that's what you're looking for. Now, if you're looking to place any sports bets, not just on Barca matches, but on any sporting event in the world, including boxing, UFC, you name it, you can head to Bet Us. All links are in the description. If you click on them, you get access to deals, offers, discounts, free money, things that you wouldn't otherwise get access to if you just went straight into the website without using the link. All right, having said all that, let's begin with the news. And we begin with some bad news, because it's been revealed through Barcelona's financial documents that earlier this summer, back in June of this year, a lawsuit was filed against Barcelona in regards to the transfer of Ousmane Dembélé. Ladies and gentlemen, Dembélé is the gift that doesn't stop on giving. First, we pay a crap load of money for him. It's been revealed that the total ended up being, I think, 140 or 150 million. Comes here to Barcelona, not here in my house, because I would kick him out if he was. Spends 6 years on the bench. Well, 5, I guess. The 6th year he was kind of playing under Xavi. But spends 5 years on the bench, constantly injured, earning a crap load of money in salary. And by the way, he wasn't injured because, oh, poor guy, bad luck. No, he was injured because he was an unprofessional guy. He constantly stayed up late, would go out partying. He had a horrible diet, would eat junk food, chips at 1 a.m, playing PlayStation. All things that he's admitted to, by the way. So comes here to Barca. We have to pay a lot of money for his transfer. We have to pay a lot of money for his salary. Super unprofessional. Doesn't help the team one bit. Spends most of the time injured. He leaves despite Xavi betting everything on him. Embarrassing Xavi in the process because Barcelona, time and time again, kept trying to get rid of him. And Xavi kept saying, no, bring him back. He's going to be great, blah, 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 blah. Embarrasses Xavi, betrays Xavi by leaving. We end up not getting any money back, right? Because his release clause was 50 million and half of it was going to Musa Sissoko. So we only get 25 million euros. And now that he's gone, we still have to deal with a lawsuit filed as a result of this clown coming to our club. Now, the lawsuit stems from, was filed by a company called Scored Sports Management. Okay. They are alleging that Barcelona owe them 10 million euros. 10 million euros because they helped facilitate the transfer of Dembélé from Barcelona to PSG. Now, Dembélé left in 2023. PSG paid the 50 million euro release clause. Half of it went to Sissoko. The other half went to Barca. So Barca only got 25 million euros. And this company, Scored Sports Management, alleged that they were part of this transfer and that they are owed a 10 million euro fee, which of course they try to collect from Barcelona. Barcelona told them to go kick rocks, that there was no negotiations, nothing. PSG simply paid the release clause and it was done. So this company has now filed a lawsuit against Barcelona. This lawsuit was filed back in June, but now that Barcelona's financial paperwork has been released from last fiscal year, it appears on that paperwork. So this is how we found out about it. And then Barcelona have already answered the complaint. So of course, well, we have a trial. Well, we're going to have a litigation process on our hands to see where this goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Ousmane Dembélé may curse the day that he arrived in Barcelona. Now, this is not the only lawsuit against Barcelona. I think there are a total of 9 lawsuits, but there's another one by a former player, and it's El Kun Agüero, Sergio El Kun Agüero. This lawsuit was actually filed last year, but it didn't really make news. I came across of it today as I was looking up the whole Dembélé lawsuit. But it looks like El Kun Agüero filed a lawsuit last year, 2024, for 3 million euros against Barcelona because he alleges that when his contract was terminated, because remember, Agüero signed for Barcelona in 2021. He only had 5 appearances and then had to retire because of the heart condition. So, of course, his contract had to be terminated. But usually when you terminate a contract, there's some kind of termination clause or a termination agreement where both parties agree, okay, I'll pay you this money and we cancel the rest of your contract. So Sergio Agüero alleges that Barcelona owe him 3 million euros from his contract termination back in 2021. So he filed a lawsuit last year. So Barcelona, of course, have answered that lawsuit, and we'll see where that litigation process goes. But 9 lawsuits, 2 of them from former players, Dembélé and Kun Agüero. Can you imagine if Agüero wins 3 million euros for 5 appearances? Talk about a little bit over $500,000 per appearance. Not a bad fee. Not a bad fee. Jesus Christ, man. These players, there's something else. Anyways, let's start with the chat section, and then we are going to talk about Laporta, the Barcelona president, closing the door to the return of Messi. When I said Messi's not coming back, people were like, what are you talking about? You didn't know that? Blah, blah, blah. Well, don't listen to me. Listen to the president of Barcelona. Mark says, not that he would or could, but if Messi tried to buy Barcelona, do you think the socios would vote yes? I don't think so because, the whole point of Barcelona is that it's owned by its socios, right? So I don't see why socios would want to sell the club to anyone. Plus, I don't think Messi could afford Barcelona unless, of course, he brings investment money with him because, the Barca brand is probably valued at several billions of dollars. So, yeah. Billy says, come on, what's going now? A lot of things, my friend. A lot of things. Manuel says, so we will be playing Champions League in the Spotify Camp Nou or only La Liga Bisca Barça? Both, because UEFA agreed to allow Barcelona to return to the Camp Nou during the group stages. The rule is you can't change stadiums in the group stages, right? So whatever stadium you start at during the group stages, you have to finish the full group stages in it, and then you can switch once you get to the knockout stages. UEFA have made an exception because that rule is just meant to prevent teams from switching stadiums back and forth as a advantage, right? Like, oh, we play here, then we play there, so not as to give teams unfair advantages. In this case, that's not what Barcelona are doing. Barcelona are not just like, oh, I'm going to play here. Okay, now I'm going to play there because I feel like it. No, it's because obviously they're renovating their stadium. They're playing somewhere else. And there's no advantage to this. In fact, it's a huge disadvantage because Barcelona are losing a crap load of money from playing at the Olympic Stadium. Not to mention, attendance has been lower. Not only because the capacity is smaller, but because a lot of people don't want to go up to Montjuic and, go all the way to the top of the mountain. Also, the people who do end up going, it's mostly tourists, not actual local fans. So as a result, the home advantage has been lost, right? The stadium sounds like a freaking cemetery with fucking people doing the wave, like fucking idiots, I strongly believe that if you go to a football stadium to do the wave, you should be banned from all football stadiums in the world. So yeah. So when Barcelona go back to the Camp Nou, they should also be able to play the Champions League. KKPW says, hi, Mo from Boston area. What's up, my friend? Welcome, welcome. And Billy says, I feel like I can't sleep. It's always something about Barca. Yeah, I feel you. PXNDX says, and he didn't learn much Spanish. Who didn't learn much Spanish? Dembele? Oh, yeah, because he didn't give two shits. The guy was just in Barcelona chilling, partying, hanging out with his friends, staying up late, eating junk food, and that's why he was always injured. And now that he moves to PSG, people are like, it's the medical doctors. Not the medical doctors. That he finally is taking his career seriously. He said it himself, by the way. This is from his own mouth. He said when he's in Barcelona, he was very unprofessional. He wasn't taking care of himself and his body. Now he is, and this is why he's healthy. I mean, you are what you eat. You are what you do. And it's that simple, especially when you're competing at the highest level. If you don't take care of your body, if you don't sleep when you're supposed to sleep, you don't eat what you're supposed to eat, you don't drink what you're supposed to drink, you don't rest, you will be injured. Your body cannot keep up with the demands of elite football if you don't take care of it. And even when you do take care of it, you still get injured, right? Injuries are inevitable. So imagine when you don't take care of it, you're definitely going to be injured a lot more often. It's just Pinchy says, what a prat. Did you mean a brat? And PX Index says, Dembélé and Sissoko wanted a Ballon d'Or salary and wanted a big sign-on bonus. Yes, they did. And my man Make Barca says, I love Messi, but as a captain for Barca, he failed because players Dembélé's time in Barca is proof Messi lacked leadership. There was a lot of undisciplined players. Well, I don't know if that's really the job of the captain. I think the captain has to lead on the field. You know, motivate the players. Hey, you do this, you do that. What the hell are you doing when someone's doing something wrong? Hey, what the hell are you doing? You were supposed to do this. You were supposed to do that. Maybe in the locker room, you know, too, like, hey, come on, let's go. Then we're going to do this. But I don't know if how much of a responsibility is of the team's captain to be like, hey, Colin Dembélé, hey, are you in bed or are you up with your friends? Hey, are you at the club or, hey, did you eat your lunch or are you eating junk food? I don't know how much that is the responsibility of the captain. I don't even think that's the responsibility of the coach. I mean, as a team, as an institution, as the coach, the physios, all you could do is tell the player, look, this is what you're supposed to do. These are your sleeping schedule. This is your meal schedule. This is your hydration schedule. This is what you're supposed to eat. And you break it down to the player, and then it's up to the player to do it. These are grown-ass fucking men, okay? These are grown-ass men making millions of dollars. They do not need to be handheld. And if you do, then you need to grow the fuck up because, you can't babysit a player. Are you kidding me? Like, all you can do is tell them, look, this is what you're supposed to do, and it's up to them to do it, right? And if they don't want to do it, there's the door. So, no, it's not Messi's fault that Dembélé is an unprofessional idiot. I mean, he is professional now, but when he was at Barca, he was an unprofessional idiot. But anyways, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about John Laporta, who did an interview today and addressed the Lionel Messi topic because, as you know, Messi was in Barcelona, the city of Barcelona, on Sunday having dinner, and on his way back to the hotel, stopped by the Camp Nou, saw it from the outside, and then had someone call the construction company, Limac, to let him in. Limac called the club. The club had no idea that Messi was there, and they were like, hey, Messi's outside. Should we let him in? And the club was like, of course, this is his home. They let him in, and of course, Messi took pictures inside the stadium, made that post, which went viral, and everybody was like, oh my God, Messi's returning. Well, John Laporta, during his interview, was, of course, asked about Lionel Messi's visit to the Camp Nou, and this is what the Barcelona president had to say. I didn't know he was coming, but the Spotify Camp Nou is his home. When they explained how it happened, I think it was a sweet little spur-of-the-moment decision. He just finished dinner and felt like coming with some friends. It's only right that Leo receives the most beautiful tribute in the world. When it's finished, we'll have a capacity of 105,000 fans. So we'd love to have him there. We're working on the tribute and on ensuring that the best football in the world can be seen. And as part of the tribute, would like to offer Leo the tribute he deserves. So, and then there's more, sorry. And then we'll talk about this. It wasn't how we all wanted it. Things were as they were in some way. The tribute can help to undo what wasn't done perfectly, but still needed to be done. That would be good. Speculating about a possible return as a player is unrealistic. So let's address the first segment of the statements, and then we'll do the second segment. But John Laporta pretty much confirming that Messi's visit to the Camp Nou was not planned. He had no idea, right? He was just passing by and decided to stop by. And then, the club gets a call in the middle of the night. Hey, Messi's outside the Camp Nou. Can he come in? And they're like, oh, shit, yeah, sure. By the way, how nice it must be, right, to be someone like Messi, where you could literally just stop by at the Camp Nou in the middle of the night and be like, can I come in? And people are like, oh, sure, come in. But anyways, so Laporta confirming that. And also, saying that he would like to give Lionel Messi the tribute that he deserves, right? Because he left without saying goodbye, and he wants to give him the tribute that he deserves. And once the stadium is fully open, so we can have full capacity, 105,000 people at the Camp Nou, so Messi can say bye to them, and of course the fans can say bye to him. Now, this is of course, the important part of the interview, because Laporta was asked, can Messi return? Because in his post, Lionel Messi said, I would like to return one day, and not just for the tribute, right? And a lot of people took that as, oh, he wants to come back to play, right? And I said, that's not what he means. He's always made it clear that he wants to move back to Barcelona. The following day, he made an interview where he said exactly that his plan with his wife and his kids is to move back to the city of Barcelona once he's done with Inter Miami. And, because it's pretty clear. Messi doesn't want anything to do with John Laporta. As long as John Laporta is the president, he's not going to come and play for Barca. Plus, Barca not looking to bring back Messi because, let's be real, he's 38 years old. This is not the same Messi from 2010. And if you think he will be, well, you're pretty much delusional. And plus, why would you want to do that to Messi? If Messi comes back at 38 years old, having been playing the last 2-3 seasons in the MLS, his level is going to much lower than what he was before he left. And do you really want to tarnish his legacy? Is that how you want Messi to be remembered? As the 38-year-old Messi who can't keep up? Or do you want to remember him for the greatest football player in the history of the sport, doing what he did with Barca? Right? People are like, oh, no, he plays with Argentina. Have you watched him play with Argentina? He barely participates. He stands there most of the match, and then when he sees his opportunity, obviously he takes off and then scores. And not to mention, the whole team works for him, right? You have 10 players on the field all doing what they can, so Messi doesn't have to do as much. That way he does have the energy for those spurs, those explosions where when he does do, obviously something always happens because he's magical. He can score a goal like that and in just one play, or he can provide an assist in just one play. That's not going to fly at Barca. But anyways, I said that. People are like, you're just blah, 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 making shit up. Well, John Laporta here pretty much confirming it and saying straight up, speculating about a possible return as a player is unrealistic. I don't think it gets any clearer than this. This is a no. Messi is not coming back to Barcelona, the club. If he does, it's not going to be as a player. I'm sure he'll come back for the tribute, and who knows, one day I'm sure he'll hold a position at the club, ambassador, like a lot of players are, like Puyol, for example. Maybe he can have a position within the club. Maybe he can have a position within the board, maybe as a president. But as a player, I don't see Messi coming back. We know Messi doesn't want to come back as long as Laporta's there. And now Laporta's saying, well, no, it's unrealistic. So get it out of your heads. You're not going to be seeing Messi anytime soon in the Barcelona kit. And that's a good thing. Because again, do you really want to tarnish his legacy? Do you really want people to remember the 38-year-old Messi struggling to play with Barca? Or do you want him to be remembered as what he is? The greatest player in the history of the sport. Anyways. Laporta was also asked about the whole Lamine Yamal situation with the Royal Spanish Football Federation. Of course, we talked about this yesterday during yesterday's video. Lamine Yamal underwent a medical procedure on Monday. He underwent radio frequency, or was it yesterday morning? Can't remember. And as a result, he has been released from the Spanish national team, and Royal Spanish Football Federation released a statement. They were all pissed off. Luis de la Fuente was all pissed off because how dare Lamine Yamal undergo a medical procedure to improve his situation? And of course, Laporta was asked about that during the interview. This is, oh shit, I forgot this statement. This also, by the way, closes the door. Out of respect for Messi, our players, and our members, it's not the time to speculate with unrealistic scenarios. So there you go. Closed door. Anyways. And this is what Laporta had to say about the whole Lamine Yamal situation. We informed them, talking about the Royal Spanish Football Federation, when we received a response from the doctor who examined him. Talking about Lamine, of course. Our doctors passed it on to the Federation's doctors, and that's how it's been going. We don't want any controversy. The specialist came on Monday, made the diagnosis, prescribed the treatment, and that's how it's been going. Barca wants him in the best possible condition, and we want him available. That's how it's happened. And it coincided with the national team's match. But the national team already has him well on track. So Laporta there clarifying, so there, look. Doctor came, examined him, diagnosed him, said he needed the treatment. As soon as he said that, we informed the Royal Spanish Football Federation. Then he underwent the treatment, and now they're pissed off that he underwent the treatment and that we didn't let them know, even though Barcelona did let them know. Plus, they have no right to be pissed off. Lamine Yamal is not your player. Lamine Yamal is Barcelona's player. It's Barcelona who pays his salary. It's Barcelona who pays his medical treatment. And then he gets released every now and then to play with Spain. Not the other way around. Because Luis de la Fuente and the Royal Spanish Football Federation are acting like Lamine Yamal is their player and he gets loaned to Barcelona. Like, here, you could go play a few matches with Barca, but no. Don't get it twisted. He's a Barcelona player. He got examined. He got diagnosed. You were informed right away. You have absolutely no fucking right to be upset. Plus, why would you be upset? Shouldn't you be happy? I mean, you say he's your player, right? You should be happy. Hey, my player was having discomfort, was having pain, and now he did something about it. Yay! I can't wait for him to get better. Where's the problem? I don't get it. But anyways, that's the statements of Jean Laporta in regards to Lamine Yamal's situation. And now let's go back to the chat section because we do have to talk about more statements by Luis de la Fuente, because Luis de la Fuente, ladies and gentlemen, he likes to prove to us how much of a fucking buffoon he is. He just loves it. You know, it's not enough to embarrass himself with yesterday's statements. Today he woke up and said, you know what? I haven't made enough fool of myself. Let me make a bigger fool of myself, because apparently his mom carried him in her womb for 9 months just so he can keep making a fool out of himself. Anyways, let's get back to the chat section, and then we are going to talk about that idiot Luis de la Fuente. Diamond says, hi, Mo, I got my Barcelona jersey today. I'm so happy today and also happy to be on the live chat. That's amazing, my friend. Congratulations on getting your kit. Let us know, which kit did you get? Home, away, third kit? Did you get a number on it? Did you get a player's name on it? Let us know the details. I'm very curious to know. Mahmoud says, if Olmo can play for Barcelona, why not Messi? Because Olmo is 25 and Messi's 38. Do I have to explain this? Ben Bodie says, hi, Mo. Osman Hospital Dembele is ungrateful. I wish he never signed for Barcelona. Fucking snake. I wish that too. What a waste. What a colossal waste of money. Between the 150 in transfer fee that we paid plus the salary for 5 years, which was incredibly high, and then it got lowered when he renewed. We probably spend on this guy like 200, 250 mil, maybe even more. For what? So he can spend the whole time on the bench, and so he can betray Xavi, and then he can sue the club. Well, the loss was not directly from him, but on behalf of him. What a snake. Anyways. Ahmed says, is Rafinha car accident real or anything hoax? I'm not aware of Rafinha being in a car accident. I haven't heard anything. Let me see. Yeah, no, I don't see anything on the main headlines. So, not that I'm aware of. At least at the moment, it doesn't seem like it's real, unless it just happened and they haven't updated. But I'm not seeing anything on the news thread about Rafinha. Now, if you're seeing on Twitter, then maybe that's why. Why? Again, I don't trust Twitter one bit. But no, as far as I know right now, I don't see anything about Rafinha being in a car accident. Barca Mama says, I love Messi, but you're absolutely correct. You can't go back to what we had with him in his prime. Yeah, unfortunately, nostalgia is a very, very strong human emotion, and people always want to relive the past. But the thing about the past is that you cannot relive it. You can't. It's in the past. It happened. It's gone. That moment is gone. All you can do is look forward to the next moment. Because if you're too stuck trying to relive the past, you're going to miss the present. If you're too stuck wanting to relive the Messi years, you're going to miss what's right in front of you. The Lamine years. The Pedri years. Right? And don't get me wrong, the Messi years were the best. And I don't know if we're ever going to see years like that. Who knows, right? But those years are gone. It's time to focus on the present. Don't miss out on what Lamine is doing and will do just because you're too stuck focusing on what Messi did. Same goes for Pedri. Don't keep getting stuck on the Iniesta, Xavi era when we have, the magic of Pedri. And the list goes on and on and on. Armando says, hilarious that De La Fuente didn't complain when Hoysen left because he was fatigued. But God forbid, I think you meant Lamine for trying to recover. Oh, no, God forgive Lamine for trying to recover from injury, the hypocrisy. De La Fuente, I'm starting to think that this guy is legitly stupid. Like, I'm not trying to insult him. Like, I legit think that this guy has some kind of mental disability. Because the way he reasons, the things he says, is not how a fully grown, mature adult with average intelligence reasons. That's the only thing I can think of right now. I'm not trying to insult him. Not that I haven't before, and I won't again because he's a fucking idiot. But I truly think that, insults aside, objectively speaking, that this guy just lacks the mental capacity or the intelligence. Because sometimes the things that he says and the way that he reasons, I'm like, this just doesn't add up. Like, no human with average intelligence thinks this way. I don't know. And you'll see my point in a little bit. Because guess what? He opened his mouth again, and once again, he embarrassed himself. And just a Bajan goal. Ooh, I remembered. Let's go. Right? Bajan? Right. Hey, Mo, I'm 100% convinced that De La Fuente talks out of his ass. That's an insult to all asses, honestly, because the shit De La Fuente says, it's worse, right? Because what comes out of an ass? Feces. Believe it or not, feces still have some kind of use, right? You could use it as, what's it called when you put it in the ground? Manure. You can use it as manure, right? Plants can grow from eating it. Well, eating it, right? Breaking it down, absorbing it. All the bacteria breaks it down, and then the plants absorb it. So poop can technically nourish the ground and grow food. Also, poop is a great way to know our health. What's going on in our intestines, in our stomach. Take samples and study it and diagnose disease. So there's some use to poop. Luis de la Fuente, not so much. Not so much. At least his words definitely have less value than poop. Did I go too far with that? Anyways. Carlos says, Barcelona Dembele is back already with PSG. He has been injured this whole season. Yeah. I have seen that. I wonder if this is just an injury, a serious injury that he's dealing with, or if this is, back to like the old days where he's injured every other day. All right, one more comment, and then we do the news because there's a lot of news. Diamond says, yes, I got the orange jersey. No number on it. I'm going to add my name on it. I like it. Well, congrats, my friend. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure to wear it for the next match. And if you join a watch along, make sure you're wearing it too. Anyways, let's get back to the news because we do have to continue talking about the Royal Spanish Football Federation and the whole Lamine Yamal situation because, yes, De La Fuente continue proving how an idiot he is. Now, just a quick recap. I already recapped it, but I'll recap it again in case someone skipped the last segment and just went straight into this one. But Lamine Yamal was examined by a doctor, diagnosed, they determined he needs to undergo a radiofrequency procedure. Barcelona sent a notification to the Royal Spanish Football Federation. Lamine Yamal underwent the radiofrequency procedure, which is where they shoot electricity through specialized needles to the affected area, which kind of burns the nerves, so they won't keep sending a pain signal to your brain, and that way the player, Lamine, doesn't have to keep using painkillers. But he underwent that procedure. He needs to rest 7 to 10 days, and as a result, he's not going to be able to play during the FIFA international break. And that, of course, really upset the Royal Spanish Football Federation. They issued a statement talking about how dissatisfied they were with this whole thing. De La Fuente opened his mouth, and, well, you know, every time De La Fuente opens his mouth, hide your kids, because, God forbid, they hear someone speak like that, and then they might think that it's okay to be an idiot, which is not. Well, Rafael Luzan, I always call him Pedro. I don't know why. Maybe he just looks like a Pedro. But Rafael Luzan, the president of the Royal Spanish Football Federation, decided to quell the situation, to quell the whole problem, because things got a little bit out of hand. There was a lot of back and forth yesterday. And Rafael Luzan decided to come out and try to calm the situation down. And this is what he said. The first thing is that we have to take care of the player. Thank you, Rafael Luzan. Finally, someone who gets it, right? This is not about, oh, Barcelona told us. No, they didn't tell us. They told us too late. Who gives a fuck? At the end of the day, it's about Lamine. What Lamine needs. Lamine has an injury that he's been dealing with for months. The doctor decided that he needs this, and he got it. Shouldn't we all be happy? Why are we all going bickering back and forth? At the end of the day, it's about him. Not what De La Fuente wants. Fuck you, De La Fuente. It's about Lamine Yamal. But anyways, so sometimes there are circumstances that can perhaps be handled better, but the important thing is to take care of the player. He is a club and national team player, and it is very important for both entities that he recovers as soon as possible. These are things that can be handled differently, but they are unforeseen circumstances, and we must act. But we are not going to stir up any controversy. He is a great player. The important thing is that he recovers and that we can have him back with the club and the national team as soon as possible. Yes, was that difficult? By the way, Rafael Luzan, I agree with you. And I'm glad you stepped up to say this and say, hey, let's stop the fighting, let's stop the back and forth. At the end of the day, it's about Lamine. But answer me this. You're the president of the Royal Spanish Football Federation. And if you're against all this infighting and bickering, why the fuck did your organization that you preside over release that statement to begin with? Have you no control over your organization where they're releasing a statement and then you have to come out and say, oh, well, chill, everybody? Like, how incompetent are you? I want to know who works at the Royal Spanish Football Federation. Because seriously, it's like the biggest conglomerate of incompetent morons. Like, seriously, bro? How did that statement go out? That you then have to go and rectify it. Bro, you're the president. You didn't think about, hey, guys, whoever's releasing the statement in the communication department, the PR department, you didn't think about, hey, guys, maybe you shouldn't release that. Again, how incompetent are these people at the Royal? And the funny thing is they're called the Royal Spanish Football Federation. Well, there's nothing royal about what you guys do. You guys are a bunch of morons. I guess the R stands now for royal, for a different word, which I don't think you're allowed to say it anymore. I think it's, it starts with an R, ends with a D, second letter is E. I don't think you're allowed to say that word anymore. But I think that's what the R stands for in the acronym of the Royal Spanish Football Federation. But anyways, Rafael Luzan came out, trying to calm things down, hey, it's about the player at the end of the day. But Luis de la Fuente said, no, hold my beer. Or I guess in his case, hold my... No, I can't say that. And decided, to make the situation worse, because that's what Luis de la Fuente does. And well, this is what he said today. I take care of the players. Yeah, okay. Good one. So don't come here and lecture me about taking care of players. I think it's fine that they say it, but nobody should come here and lecture me on that. Not Barca, not anyone. Well, my friend, you do need lecturing on that because you're a fucking idiot who doesn't do it. If you were doing it, nobody would lecture you on it. But since you don't, this is why you're getting lectured. This is how lecturing works, right? I'll talk to Flick, but this isn't a matter between coaches. It's an institutional matter. We each have to fulfill our roles. We'll talk someday, and when the time comes, we'll talk. This can't be resolved between coaches. It has to be between institutions, and an agreement must be reached, understanding the importance of being on the national team. So according to Luis de la Fuente, he says, I take care of the players, so nobody needs to lecture him. All right? So explain to me this. Lamine Yamal arrived in the training camp with medical reports stating that he had discomfort. Why did you play him if you take care of the players? Why is it when Huijsen arrived with reports saying that he was fatigued, not even discomfort or injury, fatigued, just tired, you sent him home? Where's the discrepancy? I understand. But you don't want to be lectured? Okay, so why did you take care of one player but not the other? Why is it that after you played Lamine Yamal, despite arriving with reports of discomfort and he got injured, why did you shoot him up with painkillers and force him to play again? Because the first time, okay, you're like, it was a mistake. Yeah, we got the reports that said he had discomfort. We thought he'd be fine. No. He got injured. He couldn't get out of bed because of the pain. He missed every single training session. So now it's not even a mistake. Now it's not like, we thought maybe he could have played. No. Now you straight up knew that he was injured, and yet you shot him up with painkillers and you played him again. How is that taking care of a player? Not to mention, these were matches against Bulgaria and Turkey. You're telling me you can't beat Bulgaria and Turkey without Lamine Yamal? Not to mention, you're the Spanish national team's coach. You can call up any right winger that has a Spanish citizenship. You have hundreds of players at your disposal. You couldn't call anyone else in his place. As opposed to Barcelona, we only have Lamine and Bardghji. Lamine is injured. It's Bardghji. Bardghji is injured. We're out. That's it. We're done. We don't have anyone to cover. How is that taking care of the players? And that's not the first time he did it. That was the first international break. The second international break, Dani Olmo arrives. Same thing. Barcelona sent medical reports that he has discomfort. And what does this idiot do? He also plays Olmo. And Olmo also gets injured. So again, how is this taking care of the players? I mean, you don't want to be lectured? Then do your fucking job. It's that simple. But you don't. You want to ride these players until they cannot play anymore. And then you want to talk about, don't lecture me. Well, stop being a fucking idiot. And then we won't have to lecture you. I feel like this guy, whatever little brain cells he had, he lost it when he lost his hair. But anyways, that's all I have to say about this moron. I don't want to get more angry. By the way, Nico Williams has pubalgia, so he's been released as well. Not a single peep about him. But Lamine Yamal has pubalgia, and all of a sudden he needs to play through all the pain because otherwise everyone else is in the wrong, and Luis de la Fuente is in the right, and he cannot be lectured. So also explain that to me, Mr. Luis de la Fuente. Why is it that Nico Williams has not been called up because he has pubalgia, and that's totally fine, but Lamine has to attend. He has to go and then be released by the doctors of the Royal Spanish Football Federation. Please explain that to me as well. Again, if you don't want to be lectured, well, give us the reasoning. Anyways, let's do the chat section, and then we are going to talk about an Argentine attacking prodigy that Barcelona are closely monitoring. All right, let's see. Where did the... Oh, Bobby Shea with a donation. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generous donation. Bashin says, what's up, bro? Just wanted to say that I'd bet money that La Fuente and Emperor Tebas take weekend bed and breakfast trips together. 2 peas in a pod. Yeah, I mean, they kind of look alike too, right? Both bald. They have the white beard going on. They're both stupid as fuck. They both seem like their parents were first cousins, and this is why their reasoning is very poor. And maybe even siblings. It's gross, I know, but happens. I don't know. But thank you, my friend, for your donation. Thank you. And RB says Messi knew Laporta wasn't going to take him, and this is his way of reminding the fans he wanted Barca, but the president walked away. I don't think so. I think Messi is doing a good job in distancing himself from Laporta while at the same time staying close to Barca to kind of make it clear to everyone, like, hey, my beef is with Laporta, not with Barca, right? Barca's my home. It's my boyhood club. I love Barca. My beef is just with Laporta, right? Because, like, for example, the post. He goes to the Camp Nou. He takes a picture. He talks about how, Barca, he was the happiest ever in his life when he was at Barca, and how he loves the club, and how he wants to move back and wants to come back. And, he keeps making those posts, but at the same time distancing himself from Laporta to make it clear, like, my beef is not with the club. My beef is with Laporta. Because he could be way more aggressive with this. He could be firing shots at Laporta left and right, and he would win. Because in a war between Messi and Laporta, people are not going to side with Laporta, right? Because Messi, at the end of the day, is a club legend. So he could easily be just firing shots left and right, going on interviews, fuck Laporta, Laporta this, Laporta that, firing tweets. But he doesn't, because he doesn't want to jeopardize the club that he loves, right? Because at the end of the day, that does hurt the club, even if you're just attacking the individual. Since the individual represents the club, as the president, of course, then he understands that. So I don't think that's what he was doing. I think this was just Messi missing his home and went to see his home. Let's see. Fusin says, good morning, Mo. Last time you asked me about what do I do for work in Dubai Petroleum. I'm now on my way. Long live Barca, long live Bo. Well, thank you, my friend. Wow, that must be a very tough job. Good luck in your shift today. When you have a good shift, don't work too hard. I'm sure that's probably unavoidable in this field. But thank you, my friend, for listening, and thank you for your comment. And Igosa says, with the way Laporta is running the club, I don't think it's good for him to continue as president. Maybe it's time to give other candidates a try. I mean, that's what the election is for, right? There should be an election next year, probably March. I think that's usually when the elections are held. So we'll see which candidates officially run, right? Right now, there's no official candidates. Victor Font is always there, but technically not an official candidate yet. But when the election begins, we'll see who are the official candidates. We'll get to listen to them. We'll get to see what their platform is, what they offer. And then we as in Sochis, get to pick who the one we think is the best. My feeling is that Laporta is going to win, honestly. So yeah. Night Game says the radio frequency needle stuff sounds painful to take. I think it is. I think it does hurt because it burns off the nerves, but they do it with anesthesia. This is not like raw. It's not like pull down your pants. Oh, they do it under anesthesia. Zach Irvin says, Bo, I just came back from the hospital, checked in my son because he saw De La Fuente's face and fainted. This is why you shouldn't let him see or hear De La Fuente. It's dangerous. And Carlos says, Lamine should have gone with the Moroccan team. Spain don't give a fuck about Barca players. Maybe. But then, with Spain, he already won the Euros. They have a good chance of winning the World Cup. Maybe another Euros after that. Um, but with Morocco, he wouldn't have won much, to be honest. Um, and I love the Moroccan national team. I thought their run in the World Cup was amazing. Plus, they saved us from a lot of headaches with Penaldo fans. Thank God they eliminated them, eliminated Portugal. But yeah. Plus, he's Spanish. He feels Spanish. Yeah, his dad is Moroccan, but Lamine was born and raised in Spain. That's the nation he identifies with. So that's who he should play with, right? Happens a lot, for example, like when the World Cup, when France won the World Cup and everybody's like, it's not France, it's Africa, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I get it. It was funny. Yeah, haha. But at the end of the day, to tell these players that they're not French just because their parents were immigrants, I mean, it does more damage than people realize. They think they're being funny, or they think that they are defending something or whatever, or standing up for one thing or the other, but you're not. You're insulting those players because you're telling them they're not French enough, right? Because their parents are immigrants, or because their last names are not traditionally French, right? At the end of the day, they were born in France, they were raised in France. That's the country they identify with. They're French, right? They have French citizenship. Who are we to tell those guys, oh, no, you're not French, you're African or whatever? It's like, I don't know why people always think they can tell others who they are or who they're not. It's like, how entitled do you have to be to be like, no, you're not? And this happens here a lot, right? In the U.S., for example, people are like, oh, you're not American. Who the fuck are you to decide who's American and who's not, right? But anyways, let's do the last bit of news. And talk about the latest sensation. I don't know if we could call him sensation, but the latest promising player. How about that? The latest promising player that Barcelona are currently closely tracking. And this guy is Argentine, and his name is Tomás de Martís. Now, if you haven't heard of Tomás de Martís, I sure hadn't before today. He is a 17-year-old center forward who currently plays in Lanús. That's the club that he plays in Argentina. He's also playing the Under-17 World Cup in Qatar. And he is someone that Barcelona have been watching for quite some time. I have a hunch that they probably started watching him in the Under-17 South American Championship. This is just a hunch. This is not actual news. And I say that because, as we know, Barcelona did send scouts to the Under-17 South American Championship. That's kind of like Copa America or the Euros, but in South America for Under-17 teams. Because during that tournament, not only Barcelona sent scouts, but during that tournament, Tomás de Martís was the top goal scorer of that tournament, netting 6 goals. So maybe that's when Barcelona started watching him. Maybe they were watching him from before. But nonetheless, Tomás de Martís is someone who plays for Lanús in Argentina. He has had 2 senior appearances with Lanús, 19 with the reserve team. As far as international caps, he has played 14 times with the Argentine Under-17 squad, during which he has scored 9 goals. Now, Tomás de Martís is described as someone like your typical Argentinian center forward. Someone like El Kun Agüero, someone like Julian Alvarez. Not only someone that can score goal, but someone who's mobile, who's fast, that can combine with his teammates, that can drag defenders, move around, come out of the box, come back in the box, attack from the right, attack from the left. Your typical Argentine center forward. This is not a classic center forward like, for example, Lewy, who's a box predator. This is more of a mobile center forward. This is what Tomás Martís is described as. Now, Barcelona's scouts have been tracking him very closely. They've been producing lots of positive reports. His contract expires with his current club in December 2027 because, of course, Argentina, Southern Hemisphere, their summers are our winters. So contracts there expire in December versus June in Europe. Contract expires December 2027, and he could technically make a move to Europe in June. That's when he turns 18. As you know, if you don't hold European citizenship, you cannot make a move until you're 18. So he turns 18 this June, and so upcoming summer transfer market, that's when he will be able to make a move to Europe. So Barcelona closely tracking him. My guess is if they do end up signing him, it's gonna be for Barca Athletic at first, with the idea of him developing. I don't see an 18-year-old kid starting for the first team in a center forward position. That would be pretty ludicrous. But anyways, Tomas de Martís, let me know if you've ever seen him play. If so, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this podcast once it ends. And with that, let's do some comments and then we'll wrap it up. I will be posting another video after this one, immediately after this one, because I have to go to the gym. Because guess what? Today I set my alarm. I woke up. I was so tired. I went back to sleep, woke up again, and it was like 5 minutes to 9. And I was like, crap, I got to go to work. So I didn't go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym late at night, which I hate doing. I hate doing late at night because the gym's a mess. It's dirty. There are weights all over the floor. Nobody re-racks their weights. It's a mess. It's a mess. Anyways, Mick Barca says, Mo, here's the Spanish mathematics. Use 90% of Barca players plus use Barca players to win titles equals hate Barcelona in the league by robbing them. Yeah, you are not kidding. And Shane with a donation. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity. Bashin says, case in point on World Cup teams and citizenship. If I would have been blessed with pro football player talent, I would have played for Germany 5 days a week and twice on Sundays since I was born there, even though I'm 100% American. I mean, that's the beauty about getting to pick, right? You can pick whatever team you want. I would have done what Deco did and just go and switch, get a nationality of some team whose national squad is, good enough to play the World Cup, but not too good where the competition is high. Right? That's what Deco did. It was Brazilian, but then got the Portuguese citizenship. Was like, fuck it. I'm not going to compete with Ronaldinho and Ronaldo and all these, and Rivaldo and all these stars. I was like, fuck it. I'll play for Portugal. They're good enough to make the World Cup, but not too good where I'm going to be left out. So I think that's what I would do. I would get the citizenship of a country that's, good enough that makes it to the World Cup. I guess the U.S., really, because we always make it to the World Cup, but competition is not that good. Now I just guarantee myself, playing the World Cup all the time. With Germany, that's heavy competition right there. If you're a professional, right? Unless of course you're top tier player, then it doesn't really matter. You can play whatever the hell you want. But if you're an okay player, not that Deco was an okay player. I think Deco was good, but obviously it was gonna be much more difficult with him making the Brazilian squad than it was making the Portuguese squad. But thank you, my friend, for your donation. And Barca Mama says, I hope the radio frequency works. My dad had it done and it didn't. He is almost 90, so I hope Lamin's youth helps. So the radio frequency, from my understanding, from my field of work, because I deal with this as an attorney, with my clients doing this, it's usually they do it in the back, radio frequency ablation. What it does, it burns the nerves. They are sending a pain signal. So you stop feeling pain. And that way you don't have to constantly be drinking painkillers, right? So that's good, right? Obviously, drinking painkillers can have devastating effects on your kidneys and your liver and even your stomach. You can develop ulcers if you're taking it all the time, not if you just take painkillers, right? But what's the problem is with these radio frequency treatments is that eventually the nerves regenerate. And when they regenerate, the pain comes back. So a lot of times it's just a temporary solution. And that's why, I'm guessing that's probably what happened with your dad. They burned off the nerves, and then eventually they grew back, and then the pain comes back, right? Because it's not dealing with the source of the injury, which in the case of the spine, a lot of times it's the disc, right? The disc that has a bulge or a herniation. And then that herniation or that bulge is putting pressure on the nerves inside of the spine, and that's what's causing the pain. So when you burn the nerves, you don't feel the pain, but then when the nerves grow back, you feel the pain again because the disc is still putting pressure on your spine. And the only solution for that is surgery. Depending on how bad the disc damage is, it can either be a simple non-invasive surgery where they inject, when they put in a needle and they suction out that part of the disc that's putting pressure on the nerve, Or if it's really bad, they'll do a fusion where they cut a big chunk of the disc or maybe remove the full disc entirely. And then they fuse the two vertebrae so they're not moving and they're not rubbing against each other since there's no disc anymore. Or sometimes they'll put a cage where it like separates them. That way they're not rubbing against each other. But anyways, that's not, neither Barca related nor football related. But I'm sorry your father is going through this. I know it's very, very painful to have to deal with back and neck problem. Any spine problem is very painful. And then at 90 years old, I imagine, surgery's out the window because that's very risky. So it's kind of like he just has to deal with the pain. So I'm sorry to hear that. That cannot be easy. That cannot be easy. And Barcelona says, trying to get the morphine pump now. Medicaid is fighting us on that. Oh, the lovely Medicaid fights. Lovely Medicaid fights. Again, I'm sorry to hear that. Back pain is just, it's so debilitating because, when your back hurts, you can't really do much. You can't get out of bed and do your things. And that only ages people even more because, the lack of exercise, the lack of movement, independence, it causes even more problems. It's just awful. It's awful. It's awful. I used to have a client who was older who used to tell me, because he had a lot of health problems. He used to tell me, getting old is not for cowards. He used to always tell me that. It's like the toughest thing you'll ever do in life is get old. And if you are not strong enough, getting old is going to suck. That's what he used to tell me all the time. And he's right, not that I'm there yet, but it really is tough to get old. Having to deal with all the health problems, the pains, the aches, the limitations. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. It's a blessing, obviously, but it comes with the price. VAR was right. Says, hey Mo, I checked what you said about other Barca teams playing the high line, and that is true. But the difference is that the teams before were not trying to play offside in the middle of the field. Yes, you're right about that because why is the offside trap a thing with Flick? Because this whole school of thought with playing for a high line is nothing new, right? Johan Cruyff used to play it. Pep Guardiola, Luis Enrique, Xabi Alonso at Bayer Leverkusen, Flick. There's a lot of teams that play with that high line, right? And that all it means is that you're an offensive team that attacks with all your players, right? Because the more players you throw there in the half of the opposing team, the higher the likelihood that you could score, right? Because now you have more players, now the other team has less, can mark with less, are forced to mark with less players, right? Because if you only attack it with 3 and they're defending with 10, you can put 3 guys on each one of the 3 attackers and you're good. But if you have 10 players defending and they're attacking with 10 players, you can only mark 1 player at a time. You can't send 2 or 3 because then it leaves someone else open. So that's what you do, right? So when you do the high line, you're attacking with all your team because the more bodies you throw, obviously, the better the chances of scoring. But that is going to leave you exposed. There's no way about it, right? It's going to leave you exposed. So what does that offside trap do? It tries to mitigate that exposure. It's saying, okay, we're going to attack with all players. It's going to leave us exposed. Let's try to minimize that exposure. How can we minimize that exposure? By trying to set in an offside trap. Now, you can also not try to set an offside trap, and you're still going to be exposed. This is what I mean. The offside trap is not the problem. The offside trap is trying to mitigate the exposure that you will have as a result of attacking with your entire team, right? So what's better? Attack with the entire team and not try to mitigate, not do an offside trap, just attack with the whole 11, and then if the other team counterattacks, we'll figure it out? Or try to do something like an offside trap, which is not always going to work. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. See, this is what I mean when people are like, oh, offside trap, offside trap. It's like, bro, it's not the offside trap. That's the problem here. Like, do you understand that? But, people like simplistic answers to problems. They don't want to think. They don't want to rationalize. They just want something real quick. And a lot of it has to do with social media, and this has been heavily studied. This is not me just making shit up. Unfortunately, social media has made our attention spans very, very short. And So people they don't want real solutions to problems. They want a soundbite. They just want something really quick. Soundbite. Highlight. Done. No, it's the team that's not pressing. You got to press structure. So it has to be structured pressing. It has to be the whole team. Also, the offside trap is 2 minutes. It's a lot of words. Highlight. 2 words. Pretty simple. Soundbite. You got your solution to the problem that you're seeing. Let's move on. And just scream highline every time. It doesn't work. Manuel Pop says, any link to buy orange jersey? The Barcelona website, or you can click on any of the links in the description of this live. And VR was right, says, I rewatched the entire final between Barca and Juventus in 2015. The defenders were high when had the ball, but not very high without the ball, and will follow striker. Man, I remember watching that final. 3-0? Was it 3-1? I think it was 3-1. I remember I was in college. I invited over some friends. It wasn't a lot of us, like 2 or 3 of us, very small group. We ordered chicken wings, and we were watching that game. Such a beautiful memory because we won the Champions League. Good times. Good times. And VR was right, says, but I also believe the highline is not a problem. I firmly believe that it's poor pressing and structure without the ball. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. And Alu says, Mo, we need Messi to return. No, we don't. Already said why. I don't want to repeat myself. But anyways. Oh, my alarm is going off somewhere. I don't know why. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, your generous donations. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. And if you haven't dropped a comment, make sure you do. What are you waiting for? I want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. I will be uploading another video in a little bit, so stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. I have to say it twice just so you can remember. And as always, Viscarsa.